They've made the Sweet 16 each of the past 2 years. But really getting beyond that, past the Elite Eight, to a Final Four, that is where the Vols have struggled.
UCLA, I don't even know if they get past Utah State in that 7-10 matchup, to be quite honest with you. A Kentucky team that goes and ebbs and flows. Illinois at the 6. Which Illinois team we getting?
Only on SportsGrid.
Which is a great place to be. Are you in the locker room, like you're giving like the Any Given Sunday Inches Al Pacino speech? Are we there yet?
Oh yeah, I think we've been there. We're gonna have a long talk with Rob today about the 99-199 issue from last week. Like I just don't get how he is still employed. We gotta talk to ownership about that one.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
That is also value to be the best player on the best team. To me, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There is no doubt about it.
The Nuggets probably going to finish, second overall in the conference here, and it's not going to get him the MVP. We'll see how it is down the stretch, and I assume this is going to tighten up, but barring a huge drop-off for OKC as a team, not just SGA, you could probably pencil him in for 30 a night.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome to hour number 2, live right here on this Wednesday on the Early Line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens. A jam-packed second hour. We'll hit some NFL news and notes in just a moment. The man of the hour in Dayton, Ohio, Jon Rothstein, expecting to join the show live in just a couple of minutes as well. We are excited to have Rothstein on, and then we'll go seed line by seed line, looking all around the NCAA tourney bracket at those opening round of 64 games. Will upsets be had? How close are these numbers? What are the key indicators of these matchups that we will have early in the big dance? DRS will break it all down. But Donnie, we start with some Major League Baseball news to begin hour number 2. Our Tokyo series is now over and through, and the Dodgers win both games in Japan over the Cubbies. 6-3, the victory for LA in the second and final of this Tokyo set early on a Wednesday morning here stateside. In the star in Japan, Shohei Ohtani, the first home run of his 2025 MLB campaign, the icing on the cake as the Dodgers, booked as a favorite in both against Chicago, win both outright by a 3-run differential.
The flagship of Major League Baseball, the Los Angeles Dodgers, with a monster payroll, superstars all over the place, opened up their season and nobody gave a damn about it. And that's let's be honest about this. Like, they played a game for 2 straight days while Ben and I were on the air, and it was like, did they win?
Yeah.
Who knows? What's the final score? Oh, it's over, because it's a fallacy. It's ridiculous that this actually happened. It should have taken place next week. You want to open Major League Baseball with a bang next week on Thursday morning at 6:10 a.m. to have the first game of the day be this one? People got involved. Yeah. People have been excited because it's a culmination of an awesome day overall. The fact that baseball sent this over, and also understand this, should have just had the Dodgers and the Cubs play 2 spring training games over there. Would have been the same amount of excitement for overseas seeing the superstars play as we build up towards opening day. It's a travesty. It just is. Major League Baseball's opening day is sacred. This is just ridiculousness for me. It is. Just is.
Oh, opening day, 8 days from now, a week from tomorrow. It is a weird scheduling quirk, DRS, because the Dodgers and the Cubs now still have some more spring training games to go before the regular season. You can understand the long international travel. That is the reason you are trying to give them that grace period to recover and get ready for the long sprint of 162 But yeah, to Donnie's point, it does lack a little bit of luster. Japan is a baseball hotbed, of course, with so many international superstars, led by Shohei Ohtani. But the Dodgers' 2 starters in each of their 2 games, Yoshi Yamamoto got the start yesterday. Roki Sasaki, his MLB debut for LA today as well, was really solid out there on the bump. And even Shota Imanaga got the start yesterday for the Cubs. The Dodgers entered this year, DRS, where they win total of 104.5. It's just 2 games, but they certainly look the ilk of at least a 100-win season at bare minimum. Don't forget, the Dodgers did win a World Series last year, and they played the Yankees, the 2 superpowers in the sport, but nobody around Major League Baseball a season ago got to the century mark in terms of victories.
Yeah, and you just take a look at the depth of that lineup, too. Like, hey, you know who didn't pitch yet? Blake Snell still has to go here in the rotation. And you know who didn't hit for you? Oh, Mookie Betts, and also throw in Freddie Freeman, and they're still handling their business. There's an A team, a B team, and a C team out there for the Dodgers. And again, I always preface by saying this. I think what the Dodgers doing are very good for baseball, and sometimes at the sacrifice of my own rooting interest, which is the Philadelphia Phillies. Boy, if the Dodgers can win like 131 games and win the World Series this year, we will have a lockout of baseball in epic proportions, and it will correct the sport here, and I hope it takes place. But the Dodgers, as I say, they did nothing wrong. But they're going to help in the solution of Major League Baseball if they dominate this year, which is sort of what I'm rooting for.
Just 2 regular season games over in Tokyo, and the Dodgers already incredibly short number to win a second consecutive World Series is even shorter now. Plus 290 yesterday, plus 240 as of this Wednesday morning. Let's get to some NFL news and notes. One of Donnie's favorite all-time Philadelphia Eagles calls it a career yesterday afternoon. BG, Brandon Graham, retires after 15 seasons with the Eagles, a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Here was BG yesterday addressing his retirement and his lifelong career in Philadelphia.
Y'all know I gave everything I had in this. And I don't have no regrets. That's one thing I tell them young boys. Don't have no regrets. And so, first I just want to say, 15 years ago, I walked into this city as a young man with dreams, big dreams, a little bit of nervousness, and a whole lot of fire in my heart. I had no idea back then what this journey would bring. I didn't know how many times I would be tested. I didn't know how much I would grow. And I surely didn't know how deeply I would fall in love with these fans and the team in this city.
It is a rare feat, DRS. BG was a first-round pick by the Birds out of Michigan way back in 2010. He spent all 15 years of his NFL career in one spot with this Eagles organization. Watching BG get emotional almost makes me get emotional. I can only imagine your emotions watching that press conference.
It brings me back to 1999, the Monday after my last football game I played. That looked like me up there on the stand, thanking the people, record-breaking career that I had and how long I got into this. Didn't have my wife yet, so I really couldn't thank any girlfriends or anything like that. But similar to me. So when I hear these speeches all the time, I go back to my own intricacies of me growing up and playing sports. Sound a lot like me. Huge accomplishments, didn't end in a championship. But you know what? Those fans out there, they got everything I had, man, and they still can remember me on that. How about that?
I mean, listen, I expected you to make that about yourself. I expected you to internalize. I thought it was just going to be your love for Brandon Graham as a lifelong Eagles fan and what he has meant to your favorite team. Nobody does it like DRS. Anything else on BG before we go through the rest of the NFL headlines?
Says he wants to stick around the Eagles because, that love for football certainly still burns bright at this point. And one of the funniest things about the press conference was they asked him a question right off the bat, like, are you going to miss the trash talk? And he goes, look, I'm not out there anymore, but when I show up to practice, I'll still tell the offensive line what I would have done to them on that play. So, he's going to be running that mouth left and right with that big smile here. So, congratulations, BG, 2-time Super Bowl champion. Again, 15 years in the NFL, not a kicker, a snapper, or a quarterback. That is incredible, man. It really is.
Fought his way back from a torn triceps, torn biceps to be there with the Eagles during Super Bowl 59. All right, DRS. Other news around the NFL. What is Aaron Rodgers going to do? The Vikings saying this morning they are not pursuing Aaron Rodgers. They have fielded some trade calls for J.J. McCarthy. They are not interested. McCarthy is the future in Minneapolis. So that would seem likely 2 spots then for Aaron Rodgers. Either Pittsburgh or the New York Giants? Well, here's one of the Steelers' leaders along that defensive line for a very long time in Cameron Hayward on his Not Just Sports podcast yesterday. Quote, I ain't doing that darkness retreat. I don't need any of that crap. Either you want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you don't. It's that simple. That's the pitch. The end of the quote. Doesn't seem as though Hayward is all that interested in having the drama that seems to follow Aaron Rodgers.
Or anybody else, because nobody wants to be a Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback at this point right now, and that's pretty much on point. So I don't know what he's yelling and screaming about, but understand this too. It's hard for the Steelers to understand, like, he, talking about Aaron Rodgers, was waiting on Minnesota and probably would have waited weeks and weeks and weeks, which means, like, okay, he's not going there. And the Steelers like, oh, I hope he comes here. And it's like, does he really even want to be on your football team? So I understand where Cam Hayward's coming from, but it's not as if, like, we had a chance to get 6 quarterbacks and we waited on Aaron Rodgers and look how it turned. Like, no, nobody wanted. Like, Justin Fields was begging, or excuse me, they were begging him to come back. He's like, man, I'm going to the Jets. This place stinks in here. So be careful what you wish for at this point, but also where Aaron Rodgers really didn't want to go there, how excited is he to actually go there now? That's the interesting point.
He's still holding everybody up. Just sign if you like football. Jalen Milroe having dinner last night with the Steelers' top brass. Pittsburgh drafts 21st overall in the opening round. Would the former Alabama QB be in consideration? I don't think that would be very wise. Matt Milano restructuring his contract to stay in Buffalo. A very optimistic offseason for the Bills in Western New York. DRS will be back. Don't you fret. But the man of the hour, Jon Rothstein, joins us from Dayton, Ohio next.
They've made the Sweet 16 each of the past 2 years, but really getting beyond that, past the Elite Eight, to a Final Four, that is where the Vols have struggled.
UCLA, I don't even know if they get past Utah State in that 7-10 matchup, to be quite honest with you. A Kentucky team that goes and ebbs and flows. Illinois at the 6. Which Illinois team we getting?
Only on SportsGrid.
Which is a great place to be. Are you in the locker room, like you're giving like the Any Given Sunday inches Al Pacino speech? Are we there yet?
Oh yeah, I think we've been there. We're gonna have a long talk with Rob today about the 99-199 issue from last week. Like I just don't get how he is still employed. We gotta talk to ownership about that one.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
That is also value to be the best player on the best team. To me, it's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. There is no doubt about it.
The Nuggets probably going to finish, second overall in the conference here, and it's not going to get him the MVP. We'll see how it is down the stretch, and I assume this is going to tighten up, but barring a huge drop-off for OKC as a team, not just SGA, you could probably pencil him in for 30 a night.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live from the official start of the 2025 Men's NCAA Tournament, joining us from Dayton, Ohio, it is Jon Rothstein, live right here on this Wednesday morning on the Early Line on SportsGrid. Rothstein joining us on behalf of the FanDuel Sportsbook, and of course, covering all of the action at the First Four for CBS Sports and Turner. Jon, we appreciate your time. Thanks for waking up bright and early on this Wednesday morning to join us here on SportsGrid.
Always great to be with you, Ben. We sleep in May.
A doubleheader of action in the first four last night to officially begin the 2025 Big Dance. Our second game of the night, North Carolina and San Diego State. The controversial inclusion of UNC as the last team into the field of 68, John. Maybe Carolina used that as some motivation for an emphatic victory over San Diego State. 95-68, the victory for Carolina. You were there on the sidelines in Dayton. What allowed Hubert Davis and his Tar Heels to be so impressive last night?
Well, Hubert said it during the broadcast. Carolina tightened up its defense, which invigorated its offense. And North Carolina's offense, especially when it got separation in the first half, was second to none. And I'll say this, Brian Dutcher has taken over for Steve Fisher right now for close to a decade. I have never seen a team play as well offensively against San Diego State under Brian Dutcher as North Carolina did last night in Dayton. I mean, R.J. Davis was sensational. Elliot Cadeau set the table. The Tar Heels should be commended for how well they played offensively.
R.J. Davis, a perfect 6 of 6 from deep, 14 made triples for UNC as a team. And it should be shared because I know there will be some comments, of course, about North Carolina even getting into the NCAA tournament and how they performed last night. Your performance in a tournament where your resume before the actual event is what matters to getting in to the NCAA tournament does not either prove the committee right or invalidate their selection in the first place. North Carolina taking advantage of the opportunity. Now the true 11 seed, John, in the South region, an opening round matchup in Milwaukee on Friday afternoon against Ole Miss. So San Diego State is home. We've got one more game, at least, between the at-large teams in Dayton tonight, between Texas and Xavier. And, John, you've been in Dayton for the last few years to begin the Big Dance. You understand the momentum this can have for teams in the month of March. Every year we have had the first four since 2011, with the exception of 2019. A team that has won in the first four has also won at least one game in the round of 64 and beyond. Whether it's North Carolina or any of our two teams squaring off tonight, who do you think continues that trend here in 2025?
Well, North Carolina definitely has the momentum. The winner of the Texas-Xavier game is going to have to play Illinois. So I would make the argument that the winners of this year's games in the first four, regardless of whether it's Texas or Xavier tonight, have maybe two of the toughest 6 seeds that we have seen in quite some time in terms of the teams that play their way into the bracket. Illinois is a team that a lot of people, including myself, at times this year saw as a potential dark horse Final Four team because of the talent base. And Ole Miss under Chris Beard has reminded myself and other people this season of the teams that Chris Beard had at Texas Tech. So I look at the Carolina-Ole Miss game. Carolina probably has better personnel in terms of the personnel on the roster, but we don't know yet if it's going to be a better team coming up later this week than Ole Miss. We're going to find that out in a couple of days.
North Carolina, a slight favorite as of this Wednesday morning for their round of 64 game against Ole Miss, despite being the lower seed. John, let's talk big picture. Let's look at the bracket. And, of course, we correlate everything with those national championship odds. If I put you on the spot right now, having studied the field of 68, and as we go through all of this madness, and I asked you for one team on this list that you feel near 100% confident is in San Antonio for the Final Four, which school do you highlight?
The Houston Cougars. I know in order to break through in sports, sometimes you have to be at bat year after year. And Kelvin Sampson's team has been at bat year after year, 3 straight years as a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Last year went to the Sweet 16, lost Jamal Shedd to an ankle injury against Duke. But Kelvin Sampson has ripped through the Big 12 like a chainsaw through butter. In the last 2 years since Houston has joined the conference, the Cougars are 39-5 against Big 12 caliber opponents. That's something that can't be denied when you look at the fact that Houston has went into that league, which has been consistently the best league in college basketball, even if it hasn't been this year and it was the SEC, and went 39-5 in 2 years. Houston in 2 years has become the flagship program in the Big 12 and has taken that mantle from Kansas.
The Cougs, the 1 seed in the Midwest region, where, as John is still in Dayton, we've got more first four action tonight for the battle to be on the 11 line in the Midwest region as well. It is Xavier and Texas. John, the Musketeers, a 3.5-point favorite for tonight's matchup. As you break down this game, what do you think will be that key indicator of who comes out with the win?
Well, I think guard play is always going to be paramount. You know, Texas has shifted its lineup really since it got healthy. It's went with Tremont Mark at the point and with Kendall Weaver coming back in the lineup. So I think Texas's guard play against, you know, the veteran pieces that Xavier has on the perimeter with Davion McKnight and Ryan Conwell. You know, I think a lot of people don't understand just how good a player Ryan Conwell is. Made 109 threes last year at Indiana State, has made 97 this year at Xavier. So I know a lot of people from the periphery are going to come into this game, and for good reason, wanting to obviously focus on Texas freshman Trey Johnson. But Ryan Conwell is a big-time college player, and I think in Dayton tonight, only 47 miles away from the Cintas Center, he's going to have an opportunity to show just that.
John, final minute of this segment. First game of the night. It is Mount St. Mary's, the champions of the MAC, against the champions out of the Patriot League in American University. The Eagles, a 2.5-point favorite. John, these first four matchups between the 16 seeds, the automatic qualifiers, give the opportunity for a nation to learn about these schools. What is a storyline everybody needs to know for tonight's first game in Dayton?
Well, let's look at the two head coaches. Donnie Lind of Mount St. Mary's was a video coordinator for Shaka Smart at VCU, and now, like less than two decades later, he has a team in the NCAA Tournament. And Dwayne Simpkins, the head coach of American, a longtime grinder who, again, was a guard for Gary Williams at Maryland in the 1990s. Plenty of storylines here in Dayton, Ben, but you know as well as I do, this is only mid-March.
It is only mid-March, but Jon Rothstein brings you the goods tonight from Dayton and on this show. John, thank you. For TEL next.
The SEC has 14 teams in this thing. Chances are they're going to get 1/2 to the Final Four, and Florida's everybody's choice.
It's the Florida Gators for me, and you're going to get them in round number 2, fresh out of the gate. That's what makes it tough. So for me, I'm not putting a lot of stock in UConn being back-to-back national champions at this point, as if that would give them a boost.
Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid. That magical time of the year when everyone suddenly becomes a basketball expert. Highlight watching, mascot picking, bracket stressing. Sound familiar? Skip the guesswork with Bracket Central. Real expert picks, trusted analysis, and zero stress. Because choosing teams by mascot cuteness isn't exactly a winning strategy. Only on SportsGrid.
Guess who's back? Back again. Donnie Rightside is back on the Early Line here on SportsGrid. I was not sure if DRS would show up, but we are glad to have him here once again on TEL. He is ready to go piece by piece throughout this 2025 men's NCAA tournament. And a great idea here, DRS, to round out this second hour for the rest of what we will have here in hour number 2. Looking at the seed line matchups, those potential upset spots throughout your bracket, and how things will begin in the round of 64. Excited to break it all down with you.
Yeah, let's have some fun with it because, again, we are less than actually a little bit over 24 hours from the start of the full day on Thursday, which is fantastic, but also gives us a little bit extra time to hone those skills and take a look at some of those actions. And I always say this, buyer beware. You go over that bracket the first time, you make those changes, and you're like, why did I do that? So get ready for that. It's going to happen. The second guessing of yourself, let's bring it on.
You'll question your decision, certainly in a few of these matchups that we are about to highlight as well. DRS, when do you fill out your bracket, by the way? Is it tonight? Have you already done a rough draft? When do you do it?
Yeah, I have the rough draft is in just to get, because obviously just for content purposes, you have to get that feel of who's going to match up against them. So I do that immediately when the brackets are out within like a half hour of the bracket show. Then I let it sit. And I don't actually analyze just yet because I like the night before. Like today on Moneyline when it comes up, we'll take a look at that, maybe fill out the official bracket. But more or less later tonight, as you get those final looks, the decisions have to be made. You push that send button tonight and you let it sink in on Thursday and get after. But today is the official bracket day here that I'm ready to get after and make it officially official.
I do both of my brackets tonight, but I have already started to crunch the numbers. I have looked at my opening round of 64 bets, and that's the beautiful thing that we do here, I think, on SportsGrid with our bracket central coverage. Of course, you want to win your bracket pool. You want to beat your college buddies. You want to beat your coworkers. You want the large cash prize that comes with that, and maybe more importantly, the bragging rights to boot. But you can also, even if you pick a team to win outright, let's say they're an 11.5-point favorite, you can pick the underdog to keep the game closer than maybe the odds makers are expecting. And, Donnie, that's what we'll see here as we start on the 4 line going around the NCAA Tournament. The 4 seed in the East region, Arizona, is the heftiest favorite in any of their opening round of 64 matchups. 13.5-point favorite against the champions out of the MAC. That would be Akron. Maryland, the 4 seed in the West region. Double-digit favorite against the champions out of the WAC. That is Grand Canyon University, GCU, into the big dance for a 4th time in the last 5 years. And a couple of compelling games for those 2 final 4 seeds. Purdue, just a 7.5-point favorite against High Point. A lot of people back in the Panthers riding that Huss bus. Texas A&M gets a 13 seed in Yale that last year was a 13 seed after winning the Ivy League and beat a team on the 4 line out of the SEC. That was Auburn last year. This year it is Texas A&M. When you look at those 4 seeds, Donnie, let's start with the better version of it. Who are you most confident in being able to make a run, maybe even seeing that second weekend?
Odds aside, it's probably Arizona. And it's one of those teams that, like, the confidence level sort of wavers. Like, I like Maryland. I like Purdue. I've talked about that multiple times. A&M, again, out of the SEC. But when I say to myself, what happens if things aren't correct with Duke and Cooper Flag re-injures the ankle is not 100%. They have the talent and the horses to run with Duke, and it also meant that they won 2 games already in the NCAA tournament, and they're bona fide on a national championship run. So for me, it would be Arizona at that point. Purdue, to me, probably the slipperiest slope out of those 4 teams that were on that graphic. But if we're just saying, again, take the odds out of it, you're not talking about price point here. I do believe Arizona is the best team, followed by Maryland here. I would bump Purdue back there with Texas A&M, even though you take a look at the price points there, a 110 and a 110 on each side. So I would probably put Purdue 4th there. But Arizona, I think, deserves to be at the top of the list if, and it's a big if they can knock off Duke, or if Duke's not 100%, why can't they then go ahead and knock off, let's just say, Alabama and find themselves in a Final Four? We'll find out sooner than later, but that team's got some talent if they can put it together.
Yeah, it is an interesting team to me. Led by Caleb Love, they've got some great guard pieces under Tommy Lloyd, who plays a great brand of basketball as well. There was a time this year that Arizona was 11-2 in the Big 12, seeming like the biggest threat to that of the Houston Cougars to keep the Cougs from winning their 2nd consecutive Big 12 title. Arizona dropped 7 of their final 12 games and did not cover in any of those 7 defeats. I am not super confident in this Arizona team that reminds me a lot of a team that could be helter-skelter. At their best, very talented. At their worst, very far from even an average basketball team that you might see on the 4 line. We'll continue the conversations looking at those seed lines in the round of 64 games next.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That magical time of the year when everyone suddenly becomes a basketball expert. Highlight watching, mascot picking, bracket stressing. Sound familiar? Skip the guesswork with Bracket Central. Real expert picks, trusted analysis, and zero stress. Because choosing teams by mascot cuteness isn't exactly a winning strategy. Only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on the early line on SportsGrid. For the remainder of hour two, we will go through the bracket and we will look at the seed lines. Are teams on upset alert? How should you approach the round of 64? And which teams can make a run through all of the madness? DRS looking at the 4 seeds right now in their opening round matchups. Again, Arizona has the best price of any team to win their opening round matchup and the best price of any team on that 4 line to win a national championship. But I'll just tell you this, both teams that will play in that round of 64 game, the 4-13 split in the East region, the Cats of Arizona and the Zips of Akron, they like to play at pace. And Arizona will let you take the 3 if you want it. And the Zips do under John Gross. One of the first bets that I made early on Sunday night when I had a free moment was to take the 13.5 points with Akron, a very high total, 166.5.
Yeah, no, and you're right about that. Here's the problem that you have, because you know me, Ben, I like versus like competition. Like, if you can get your 3-point shot off in the SEC, you're going to be able to get that shot off against the NEC, right? But it's almost hard to sometimes comprehend where it's like, all right, bigger, faster, and stronger, the better conferences. Obviously, we know Arizona, let's just say bigger, faster, and stronger than Akron. Does that mean that the defensive footprint for Arizona is going to change a little bit? They'll probably still let you shoot the 3-point shot, but that length and the ability to close out might be a little bit different. Those are some of the struggles that I have, and I openly admit that too. Like, getting into your comfort zone. You know, like, beginning of the college basketball season, could care less. Don't have any numbers in here. Once you start to get the conference play, things start to crystallize, which again leads into last week's conference tournament, where it's like that last chance of like versus like competition, teams that know each other. You know the defensive and offensive footprints. Now it gets a little bit out of hand, because you're right. Like, you should still be looking at the theory of, hey, this team doesn't close out at the 3-point line. This team loves to shoot the threes. But also that means, like, we've played basketball before. Hey, I'm playing another 5'10" guard on the opposite side. Oh, no, Tuesday night I have a kid that's 6'4", that is real, puts a hand in my face. I can't get that same shot off. That's what I worry about at this point here. But again, the thought process could right from you as well. I'm not taking Arizona, let's just say, as a 13 or 14.5 point favorite going up against Akron because the points don't matter. There's no aggregate to get to the next round saying, boy, we only won by 16 points. We should have pressed it to 24 so we get a higher seed in round number 2. That doesn't happen. Win, advance, and move on. So when I see a quality opponent like Akron, which what's the great equalizer I always talk about? The ability to make the three-point shot with volume. They can do that there. So that's what gives you a little bit of a thought process like, I wonder how this game plays out and if Akron can actually hang around.
DRS, as I have said, I fill out my bracket tonight. Am I going to pick Akron to pull off the upset and move forward to the round of 32? Not so sure. We'll kind of do it live in the moment. But I already have bet the Zips to cover as a 13.5 point dog. The team that everybody believes is the most likely to be upset on the 4 line, that would be Purdue against High Point. 2 very elite offenses. Neither team all that efficient on the defensive side of the floor. This line opened at 9.5 points, DRS, in favor of the Boilers. It's now just a 7.5 point spread in favor of Purdue.
Yeah, it's another one of those games that you take a look at where these, understand this, like, in the whole concoction of the tournament, dating back 20 years, it used to be the mid-majors and the lower-level teams that you worried about because those teams had 4th and 5th-year seniors that all played together for 5 years and could sort of sneak up on you. It's no longer the case. Like, the amount of transfers that you come in and out, like, you find really good talent that you can bring into your program even just for 1 year, and it helps you. And Purdue, one of those teams that is efficient but notorious in the past for having a better team on paper, getting to the tournament, and not playing like that piece of paper as they should at this point. So I think people take a look at Purdue and still have that grain of salt like, yeah, we've seen them make runs, but we've also seen them go out to teams like this in the tournament in the past.
In High Point, DRS, a 29-win basketball team. They are 56-14 in their 2 years under Alan Huss's guidance. He has done an incredible job at High Point. It is not often that you see a team from a smaller mid-major conference be really near the top of the charts in any of the Ken Palm ratings. High Point is 25th. The 25th most efficient offense in college basketball really speaks lengths about what they do on the offensive side of the floor. That is our second game of Thursday, just about 27 hours from now, 12:40 p.m. Eastern Time tip between the Boilermakers and the Panthers. Let's move on to the 5 seed. DRS, as most people start to fill out their bracket, the 12-5 upset is the most likely one they look at. I'll make a small distinction here. It is actually a little bit less frequent than what we see 11/6. That has happened 61 times to only 55 times, the 12 defeating the 5 since the field expanded in 1985. But this year, a lot of people are looking at a couple of the 5 seeds to be picked off. Clemson, Michigan, Oregon, and Memphis. And DRS, as you look around this seed line and you look around these round of 64 matchups, Michigan, just a 2.5 point favorite against UC San Diego. Out in the West region, one of the hottest teams entering the Big Dance, the champions of the Mountain West Tournament, that would be Colorado State. They are favored to beat Memphis. An upset based on seed line, but not from the betting odds.
No, certainly not. And we're sort of ingrained to always take a look at the 5-12s, and there's some merit to it because so many times you look at those seed lines, and sometimes a higher seed does give a little bit of a convoluted, like, you know what, I'm comfortable, let me just take the higher seed and move on. But I got to tell you, when you look at these two, like, Michigan is really good. This team just won the Big Ten championship. But UC San Diego, and again, name recognition. Wait a second. Taking Michigan to beat UC San Diego. Like, what is that about? They are tremendous. Now, let's keep moving down the list. Oregon and Liberty, maybe not a name recognition for Liberty at this point, right? 5-seed Oregon probably should win. But you switch down to the bottom of the bracket with the West and the Midwest. I'm not so sure the 12s are going to compete and actually just stay within the number, win these games. Like Colorado State, I think it's actually a better team than Memphis. Like, why did they get a 5 and a 12? Just the way the metrics work out. Nobody will be surprised if Colorado State moves on. Then we get to McNeese, a team that we thought might do a little bit better last year, didn't. Maybe it's year number 2. We understand that we're not just that Cinderella team walking in here with a lot of expectations. We didn't meet them last year. Now it's time to do it. But again, Clemson is a really good team. The focal point, again, that I put on is how do you handle these? Like the popular underdogs that everybody wants to bet. We know that is usually the death nail. Like, oh, a popular dog, why don't you stay away from this one? Easy win the opposite direction. Like Memphis, I feel, is just being written right off the map. I have in my early bracket as Colorado State moving on because I do believe they're actually the better team. But we've seen instances like, well, how big of a mistake did they make? The 5 and the 12 right here between Memphis and Colorado State, and how come this one team is favored? That's the one matchup I look at and say, buyer beware, because I don't hear too many people saying Memphis is going to win that game, let alone maybe make it to the Sweet 16. I want to take a look at that. Rightfully so, at 12 versus 5. You're supposed to be favored if you're the 5 seed, not the underdog.
Yeah.
That's the spotlight game for me. I want to see if the public is dead on that game with Colorado State.
Because, as you mentioned, DRS, we are almost predisposed to looking at the 12 beating the 5 as our Cinderella upset in the round of 64. There has been so much attention thinking the 12 seeds, maybe all 4 of them can do just that. Pull off the seed line upset in the opening round. We'll talk UC San Diego and Michigan in just a moment. It should be shared about Colorado State, led by Nick Clifford, and what Nico Medved has done for this Rams basketball program. They have won 10 straight games since the middle of February. They are rated as the 8th most efficient team, 8th best team in college basketball. And Memphis actually struggled in the American because for most of the year, DRS, the Tigers were great. They started off non-con play with so many great wins. They've got 5 non-con victories against teams that are also in the tournament field of 68. Like you, I would keep an eye on the Tigers with one of the best guards in college basketball, that being P.J. Haggerty. In fact, my favorite round of 64 bet is the total in that game. Over 146.5 between Colorado State and Memphis. 2 teams that want to get up and down the floor, 2 teams that want to hoist from 3, and 2 defenses that will allow that kind of tempo to be withstood throughout each and every game. We'll talk UC San Diego and Michigan on the other side. Can McNeese learn from its lumps last year? They were the popular 12 to pick off the 5 in Gonzaga. They did not. They got beat by more than 20. They're a 7.5-point dog against a Clemson team that reached the Elite 8 just a season ago. And what to make of Oregon? All of that and plenty more up next.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
That magical time of the year when everyone suddenly becomes a basketball expert. Highlight watching, mascot picking, bracket stressing. Sound familiar? Skip the guesswork with Bracket Central. Real expert picks, trusted analysis, and zero stress. Because choosing teams by mascot cuteness isn't exactly a winning strategy. Only on SportsGrid.
The 5-12 upset. That common one that we see in NCAA tournaments year in, year out. Not really last year. I believe only one 12 seed victorious in the 2024 men's NCAA tournament. And yet this year, it feels like a lot could happen. In fact, if Colorado State, as the 12 seed in the West region, beats the 5 seed in Memphis, it would not be an upset. At least according to the odds, as CSU is a slight favorite. Just something about Memphis, DRS. I was charting all 68 teams in the NCAA tournament yesterday, including the 2 that lost, St. Francis and San Diego State, and how many tournament teams elsewhere in the field they beat this year. It was pretty clear to see some of the criteria the committee uses to highlight a team, move them up a seed line based on where other teams fall. And a lot of that is victories against other tournament teams. Memphis has 5, all in the non-conference, because, of course, the Tigers the only team out of the American to get into the big dance. There are 25 teams in the Ken Palm ratings that rank in front of Memphis, who are a lower seed line than that of Penny Hardaway's Tigers, and they are on the 5 line. DRS, if there was one team to get picked off that is at least the higher seed being on the 5 line of this group of 4, who do you think that is?
Wait, we going 5s or 4s? You caught me off guard right there.
5s. We'll get to 3s in a second. We already did the 4s.
Hold on. Let me hold on. Did we wait? Which one is more likely to get knocked off? Hold on. I thought we just did that here. Give me a second.
Who's your upset pick?
No,
did
Memphis.
you say what?
No, Memphis is getting knocked off.
But I thought you said you liked Memphis.
No. I have Colorado State picked. Buyer beware of that game. But the most likely for me, if I'm just betting accordingly there, would be Memphis getting knocked off there. That's why. No, I was on my 4 screen going, wait a second. I thought I just did at this point. So I had to go back a screen at that point. Like, no, buyer beware in that game, because I think most people thinking just like I am, Colorado State is the better basketball team and will win. Just like we thought UNC might be knocked out of the tournament and shouldn't be in it, and they hammer away. Like, that's my spotlight game, even though I still like Colorado State, much like the public itself. There you go.
Okay, confused me a little bit. I thought you were saying, public beware of this. Everybody believes this is the most likely matchup. It is not for me. Another one the public is fully buying into, that's UC San Diego upsetting Michigan, just a 2.5-point spread in favor of the Maize and Blue. This opened at 4.5. DRS, we had some early bets all backing UC San Diego, but based on quantity of bets, we've got a lot of love for Michigan on the FanDuel Sportsbook as well. What do you make of that game quickly?
Do you know what I think is interesting about this too, Ben? Because you have 2 7-footers on one side for Michigan. You say, man, how is that going to match up with UC San Diego, who can't match that up? But then you look at the style components, 8th in the country at almost 50% of their total shots from 3-point range, and they shoot daggers out there. Is that the perfect matchup where it's like you are going to truly live or die with the 3-point shot and they don't turn it over? So if there's one team that you say Michigan is elite defensively, and they are, this other team's like, hey, have your 7-footers down low. We'll shoot right over them from the 3-point line. What a great matchup. Are we going to outsmart ourselves, though, here? Are we really going to outsmart and say, you know what, Michigan gets knocked off at this point? The Big Ten Conference Championships in the tournament? I don't know about that, but UC San Diego does fit like a glove. And if you want to talk about just respect on the odds line, UC San Diego only getting 2.5 points from the conference champion Big Ten Michigan team, that's crazy. Like, you read that line, that's a UC San Diego line, man.
Yeah, no doubt it is, DRS. And they have the Big West Player of the Year in Aniwa Tate-Jones, who is sensational. But height is not something the Tritons specialize in. Their tallest starter, Norden Kapich, who is 6'8", trying to go up with Area 51. Of course, that is Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden. A great matchup, though, because UC San Diego can take the 3. They'll let you shoot the 3, but they're great defending the paint, which is where Michigan thrives. And the Wolverines did not do this in Indianapolis, but what has plagued the Maize and Blue all year, their propensity to turn the basketball over. UC San Diego is the second best defense in college hoops at causing turnovers. A great matchup in the opening round of 64 with a lights-out shooter, Tyler McGuy for UCSD, a really good shooter. And as DRS always says, that 3-pointer can be the great equalizer, as we have seen time and again in the big dance. Now let's move up to the 3 line. Our 4 number 3 seeds, Texas Tech, Iowa State, Wisconsin, and Kentucky. Donnie, we shared earlier the Red Raiders, 8th best price to win a national championship, 32-1. Iowa State, 10th best number to win a national title, 35-1. As you look at these 4 3 seeds, do you believe all 4 can make a deep run in the NCAA tournament?
No, I don't. And that's why you see Kentucky down the bottom of the list at 75-1 appropriately there. If they get hot on offense, that's great, but they're never hot on defense, it feels like. And that's going to be a calling card to many of these teams once you hit the March Madness. You take a look at Wisconsin. Typically in the past, it's like play really good defense, slow it down, and be ultra efficient. I like this new version of Wisconsin, which to me is a better version of Kentucky overall. They can shoot the three-point shot, which again can be the ultimate equalizer, but also can be your downfall. You know the teams that I don't want to be the great three-point shooting team and rely on it like the number 1 or the number 2 seeds. 3 seeds, you know what? You're going to have to pull off some upsets here on your way to the Final Four national championship game and possibly to win it. So I do want a good three-point shooting team with volume, which can be Wisconsin. The shame of it for me is, like, you know me, 2 straight weeks before the conference tournaments even started, I identified 2 teams out of the Big 12 that I really liked. It was Texas Tech and it was Iowa State. And I haven't taken the futures yet. I'm almost certain I'm going to take a Texas Tech future, but I feel like I'm a little bit cheated here with the other one with Iowa State. Full gas, ready to go in the tournament. They had the perfect landscape there. But missing one of your key players in the tournament, we know it's a battle of attrition. You might have another guy injured. You need everybody healthy there. So for me, Iowa State gets a slight downgrade. I'm really high, though, however, on Texas Tech. Like, even look at Iowa State. Lipscomb in that first matchup, man, that's a quality opponent. You're getting right out of the gate. Really that gets you to 3. And then round number 2, you say, hey, look, woo, we got the 11th seed North Carolina. They're obviously coming in on fire. And if you don't get that, you're playing Ole Miss out of the SEC. So for me, Iowa State, it's a shame. Bonus there for Michigan State, maybe Auburn because they're not fully healthy. But for me, I left Iowa State down a little bit just because of the injury situations, Ben.
Yeah, DRS, I would agree that the top 2 teams, obviously with the shortest prices to win a national championship on the 3 line, are both true contenders. I have an Iowa State Final Four ticket that I bet back in early November at the start of this season, and all the metrics back it up. It will be the health for TJ Otzelberger and the Cyclones that really dictates this month of March. More on the early line up next.
Which is a great place to be. Are you in the locker room? Like, you giving like the Any Given Sunday inches Al Pacino speech? Are we there yet?
Oh yeah, I think we've been there. We're gonna have a long talk with Rob today about the 99-199 issue from last week. Like, I just don't get how he is still employed. We gotta talk to ownership about that one.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They're also showing a little bit more propensity to take the pull-up jumper, which I think is important for them. Aiden Holloway's been better. Brant Nelson's getting staying out of foul trouble. Clifford Laurie is attacking the offensive boards and being the defensive threat that they need. If Alabama can defend, and they make a run, and they win the SEC tournament, I think they're the 4th number 1 seed.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. That magical time of the year when everyone suddenly becomes a basketball expert. Highlight watching, mascot picking, bracket stressing. Sound familiar? Skip the guesswork with Bracket Central. Real expert picks, trusted analysis, and zero stress. Because choosing teams by mascot cuteness isn't exactly a winning strategy. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The teams on the 3 line, how far will they go in the 2025 men's NCAA tournament? The odds makers very optimistic with the outlook for Texas Tech and Iowa State, 2 teams that are 3 seeds, but 2 of the 10 best prices to win a national championship. Texas Tech involved in a very difficult region, that being the West region, but the Red Raiders have the second best price to win that West region, which is very interesting to see. DRS minus 1,800 in their opening round matchup. They take on UNC Wilmington, the champions out of the CAA. Iowa State gets a talented team in Lipscomb, the champions of the A-Sun. And we know the Cyclones are not fully healthy. We believe Taman Lipsey will be ready to go. Their point guard and Ames native, but Keyshawn Gilbert not going to play in the big dance. Lipscomb will shoot the 3. Iowa State will allow it. Always the great equalizer. I did bet the Bisons at a plus 14.5 number to at least keep that game a little bit more competitive. Donnie, you talked about your futures bets. Everybody thinks when you fill out your bracket, it's really just the national championship, Final Four odds, or maybe from the handicapping perspective, game by game, round by round. But there's so many great bets that really kind of correlate to how you fill out your bracket, including Sweet 16 numbers. Really, you can think of it as a 2-game moneyline parlay just to win both games on your opening weekend to see the Sweet 16. That's how I approach Wisconsin. I really like the Badgers draw in the bottom half of the East region. I bet the Badgers earlier this week, Donnie, at a minus 116 number to reach the Sweet 16.
Yeah, by the way, if we're just talking about like betting circles and scenarios, right? And, you know, we always get into, hey, pick your bracket, separate it. You can cheer for that. That's fine. Individual game basis. Oh, no, I have Duke to win it all. I'm like, well, wait a second. I really like Arizona getting 3.5 points against Duke in here, but I can't bet it because I have Duke here. You have to take that and remove that. Same way you talk about me, if I want to bet against the Phillies or the Philadelphia Eagles. Money is money. You got to remove the fandom out of the equation. But the reason I brought a fandom here, you want to watch some fun basketball that could line up. BYU, VCU, right below them, Wisconsin, Montana. You want the 3-ball in those first 2 games, you got it. The winner of those 2, you want the 3-ball in those 2 games again, you got it again. So when Ben brings up Wisconsin, BYU, VCU, Montana, you are a 3-ball haven right there. Let's just say it lines up BYU, Wisconsin. I mean, just protect the deck out there. Is anybody going to dribble into the rain? It's going to be 3-point shot after 3-point shot after 3-point shot. But I also said this as well. If you are looking at those teams here, you want underdog teams to be nothing but firing away from the 3-point line because they hit them, they're in the game. If they're out, they're going to lose anyway at this point. That's why some of these teams are so dangerous, which means, let's just say you take Wisconsin over Montana, and Wisconsin, let's just say, beats VCU/BYU. They go up against Alabama, who's tempo, which means BYU is going to be firing from 3-point range in that. So buyer beware if you're just looking for Alabama, the most talented team, or even a St. Mary's to get in there. You are going to get a 3-ball wizard coming into that matchup in the Sweet 16.
A lot of really good offensive teams in that portion of the bracket. Of course, in the East region, Duke is the number 1 seed. DRS, we've talked about this already, but it does bear repeating. There are 4 teams right now, all 4 number 1 seeds on that one line in the big dance, have a Ken Palm net rating of plus 35 or better. In the last 20 years, since the 04-05 season, there have been 3 total teams, 3 total in a 20-year window that have had a pre-NCAA tourney Ken Palm rating of plus 35 or better. And all 4 1 seeds this year do. Cream often rises to the top in the big dance once you kind of move past the opening games and all of that chaos. But we have only seen all 4 1 seeds reach the Final Four once. That was back in 2008. Could it happen this time around?
I'm telling you. And again, just the early previews that you look at, it's like, boy, I'm going with a lot of chalk. But as Ben just said, the chalk is backing it up this year. Like, it's going to take a monumental shot to knock out one of these number 1 seeds because there really is no flaw. Auburn, best team in the best conference here this year. Duke, the best player in basketball with an unbelievable team. Florida, outrageous victories across the card. And then does anybody want to see Houston in a dark alley over here in the tournament? No. Like, these are unbelievable. Would it surprise me if all 4 teams got there? Yes, because statistically, upsets do happen. But if it ends up all 1s, this is the season it's supposed to, Ben.
Donnie, I would be more surprised if no one's got there than all one's got there. Of course, in 2023, we saw chaos for the first time in tournament history. No 1, 2, or 3 seed even reached the Elite 8. I would also be surprised if there was not an SEC team with 14 of them into the Final Four. Auburn, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee. The list goes on and on. We will get you ready for the first 4 in the second night of it in Dayton when hour number 3 starts up next.